Welcome to the Numis Hunter, the ultimate treasure spot for quarter-dollar coin lovers. Don't spend this quarter. What if I told you that one of these coins could be worth an astonishing $62 million today? Yes, you heard that right. This small piece of metal, with the face of George Washington and the words United States of America, could turn you into a millionaire overnight. Welcome to the world of rare coins where simple pocket change becomes historic treasure. Imagine holding in your hand something that seems so common yet hides a fortune within its minting details, errors, and mysterious past. The 1974 quarter is a legend among collectors because of its unique variations, minting flaws, and the story that connects it to one of the most fascinating eras of American coinage history. Back in 1974, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with various compositions and metal blends due to rising silver costs and changes in coin production technology. During this time, a few quarters were struck using experimental planchets and different metallic layers that were never intended to enter circulation. Some of these experimental 1974 quarters were accidentally released to the public, and these are the coins that today command astronomical value. A perfect storm of minting error, rarity, and condition makes the 1974 quarter one of the most valuable coins in American history. Experts believe that fewer than a handful of these extraordinary coins exist, making their discovery the numismatic equivalent of finding hidden treasure buried in plain sight. One particular specimen stands out. It's rumored to have a double die strike with an off-center mint mark and unusual planchet composition. When placed under magnification, this coin reveals tiny imperfections in the lettering, particularly in the word liberty and the phrase "in God we trust," where the letters appear slightly shadowed or duplicated due to misalignment during striking. Another detail that numismatists obsess over is the reading on the coin's edge. While a typical 1974 quarter has uniform ridges, some rare specimens show partial reading or smooth patches caused by minting pressure inconsistencies. These subtle details tell a story of how the mint machinery functioned at the time, offering clues to collectors about which mint errors may be genuine and which are the product of post-mint damage. Even more fascinating is the fact that a few 1974 quarters have been found on 40% silver planchets left over from the early 1970s experimental runs, when the mint was transitioning away from silver content in circulating coins. Such anomalies are almost mythical and often authenticated only through metallurgical testing and weight analysis. A standard 1974 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, but silver-based or error planchet versions can differ slightly, sometimes heavier, sometimes lighter. If your coin falls even a fraction outside that standard range, it might be worth checking because you could be holding a multi-million-dollar treasure. Collectors and coin experts across the globe constantly search for these mysterious 1974 quarters. They scour estate sales, old collections, and coin rolls hoping to discover one of these elusive pieces. Every year, new stories emerge of ordinary people who stumble upon these coins by accident, sometimes tucked away in jars, old wallets, or inherited coin boxes. The idea that such wealth could lie unnoticed in your loose change drives a frenzy among collectors, inspiring thousands of coin-hunting enthusiasts to check every coin they come across. One of the reasons this coin has reached such an enormous valuation is the combination of rarity, historical context, and perfect condition, what collectors call mint state or proof-like preservation. A 1974 quarter graded MS, 68 or higher, is exceedingly rare, and one with documented minting anomalies can fetch millions at auction. The $62 million valuation comes from a combination of confirmed private sales, expert appraisals, and projected market demand if one of the few known coins ever reappears for sale. Imagine a bidding war between global collectors and institutions eager to own a piece of minting history. Such demand could easily push the price into record-breaking territory. The 1974 quarter isn't just about money. It's about mystery and discovery. It represents the enduring human fascination with hidden treasures and forgotten relics. Each scratch, edge, and detail of this coin tells a story of industrial craftsmanship and historical evolution. The design itself, featuring George Washington's dignified profile and the American eagle on the reverse, reflects the country's identity during a period of economic and political transition. But when errors occurred during the minting process, like double strikes, clipped planchets, and misaligned dies, they transformed an everyday coin into something extraordinary. Some 1974 quarters exhibit a no-mint mark anomaly, indicating they were struck in Philadelphia, where no mint mark was used, yet show characteristics inconsistent with standard Philly issues, adding another layer of intrigue. Others may feature faint traces of the letter D or S from the Denver or San Francisco mints that appear ghost-like, suggesting experimental overstrikes or machine doubling. These imperfections, invisible to the naked eye but clear under magnification, are what make these coins so incredibly valuable. Collectors treasure the sense of discovery. Each coin examined is a potential jackpot. The market for rare coins has exploded in recent years, driven by online auctions, collector communities, and viral stories of ordinary people striking it rich. A few years ago, a similar quarter from the 1970s fetched a seven-figure sum due to a minor die crack. The kind of news fuels dreams of finding another such coin in circulation. The fascination isn't just about rarity. It's about the tangible connection to history. When you hold a 1974 quarter, you're touching an artifact from an era when America was shifting its currency composition, facing inflation, and experimenting with new materials. It's like holding a snapshot of economic evolution in your hand. Some experts even speculate that a small batch of 1974 quarters was struck in silver by mistake during test production of commemorative coins, but were mixed into circulation by accident. If true, that would make those coins priceless historical artifacts. Modern technology has made it easier than ever to detect such errors. Coin enthusiasts now use precision scales, microscopes, and even X-ray fluorescence analysis to determine metal composition. These tools have uncovered fascinating variations, coins with unexpected nickel-silver layering, irregular edge texture, and microscopic differences in engraving depth. Each unique feature could mean the difference between a 25-cent coin and one worth millions. Stories of people cashing in on these discoveries keep going viral across social media. Someone finds an odd-looking quarter, takes it to an appraiser, and suddenly learns it's worth more than their house. Such real-life stories inspire millions of viewers to check their change drawers and collection boxes. If you want to join the hunt, it starts with simple steps. Check the date, observe the details under bright light, compare the weight with official specs, and look for errors. Even minor abnormalities can make a difference. A faint doubling in the lettering, a missing ridge, or an unusual shine could indicate something special. Remember, minting technology in the 1970s wasn't as precise as today, so unintentional variations are possible, and that's where value hides. Beyond physical characteristics, the story of the 1974 quarter also symbolizes the unpredictability of value itself. Who would think that a coin worth 25 cents at face value could transform into a $62 million relic? It shows how history, scarcity, and human curiosity intertwine to create immense worth. The passion of collectors, the allure of mystery, and the thrill of discovery all combine in this small metallic circle. Even major museums and private investors now compete for rare U.S. mint errors, turning numismatics into a high-stakes treasure hunt. If you happen to find a 1974 quarter that feels heavier, shinier, or slightly off in design, don't dismiss it. Have it authenticated. You could be holding one of the rarest coins in American history. The next viral story might be yours, and the next multi-million-dollar auction headline might feature your coin. Every detail counts, every scratch tells a story, and every collector dreams of the ultimate find, the perfect 1974 quarter. So, next time you hear the clink of coins in your pocket or spot an old quarter resting in a drawer, pause for a moment. Look closely. You never know. Your ordinary change might hide a fortune waiting to be discovered. Rare coins have changed lives before, and the 1974 quarter continues to captivate treasure hunters worldwide. Next, 1992D quarter dollar, sitting in your wallet or lying unnoticed in your drawer. You might want to take a closer look, because what if I told you that this simple-looking coin could actually be worth an unbelievable $32 million? Yes, a small 25-cent piece, minted in 1992 at the Denver Mint, has made history by shocking the numismatic world with its jaw-dropping valuation due to its extremely rare minting errors, mysterious variations, and the incredible story behind how a few of these coins came to exist. Welcome to another mind-blowing story from the world of rare American coins, where what seems ordinary can hide a fortune that could change your life forever. The 1992D quarter dollar, part of the Washington Quarter Series, is usually just a regular coin in circulation, but certain versions have become the stuff of legend due to minting mistakes and transitional metal composition errors that collectors and experts alike cannot stop talking about. Back in 1992, the U.S. Mint was in the midst of transitioning technology and refining dies that would soon lead to the famous 50-state quarters program of the late 1990s. During that process, some coins were struck using experimental dies and leftover planchets from earlier series, which gave rise to a handful of rare 1992D quarters that are unlike anything else ever produced. These coins display subtle, almost invisible differences that only expert eyes can catch. Misaligned lettering, doubled edges, strange color tones, and even unintentional metal blends. But what makes these specific coins worth tens of millions is the fact that a few were accidentally struck on planchets meant for proof coins or transitional blanks composed with unique metal layering that was never approved for circulation. Imagine a coin that looks like every other 1992D quarter but weighs slightly less, has a smoother texture, and gleams differently under light. That's the kind of detail that separates a 25-cent coin from one worth $32 million. Experts have documented that only a few such coins exist, possibly fewer than 5 in the world, making them some of the rarest mint errors in American history. Numismatists have spent years tracing the origins of these unique quarters, linking them to experimental production runs where Denver Mint machines may have accidentally mixed planchets from test batches. The most famous 1992D quarter, which set records at private auctions, featured a double-die obverse and an off-center strike that still maintained perfect detail in Washington's profile. When viewed under magnification, the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appeared slightly shadowed and thicker, an indication of die doubling that occurred when the die shifted between strikes. On the reverse side, the eagle's wings appeared more spread than usual, and the fine details of the feathers seemed slightly raised. Even more intriguing was the coin's edge. Collectors noticed inconsistent reading, with some portions smooth and others sharply defined, suggesting that mint pressure was uneven during striking. These features might sound minor, but in the numismatic world, small variations like these define astronomical value because they tell the story of rarity, error, and historical uniqueness. To make matters more fascinating, certain 1992D quarters have been found with what's called a transitional composition error, where instead of being struck on the regular copper-nickel clad planchet, they were minted on a 90% silver planchet leftover from earlier test runs. This kind of mistake almost never happens, and when it does, it turns an everyday coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The weight of such a coin is slightly different from the standard 5.67 grams, which is often how collectors first suspect they've found something rare. The difference may only be a fraction of a gram, but it's enough to raise eyebrows and send the coin for professional authentication. Once confirmed, the true value of such an error skyrockets. These coins are literally one-of-a-kind pieces of American minting history. Imagine the thrill of finding one of these quarters in your change or inherited coin jar. Your life could change instantly. Collectors have spent decades chasing such treasures, searching through countless rolls of coins, attending auctions, and studying mint reports in the hopes of finding one of these hidden gems. The 1992D quarter isn't just valuable because of its rarity. It's valuable because it captures a transitional moment in U.S. minting history, a time when new technology met traditional craftsmanship, and small errors produced masterpieces. Every detail of the 1992D quarter tells a story. The texture of its surface, the alignment of the date, the faint doubling on Washington's eye or the rim, all evidence of its journey from minting machinery to the outside world. Some of these coins even show a mysterious die crack running through the lettering or along Washington's neck, adding even more individuality to each piece. For collectors, this is not just a coin. It's a relic of precision gone slightly awry, a moment frozen in metal when a small human or mechanical error gave birth to something priceless. Auctions of rare quarters like these have become global sensations. Bidders from across the world compete to own one of the few surviving examples, driving prices to heights few could imagine for a coin that started as a $quarter piece. Experts estimate that the $32 million valuation is not exaggerated. It reflects the intense demand among collectors, investors, and museums eager to possess such an incredible specimen. The coin story has also gone viral across social media platforms, where videos of collectors discovering these coins rack up millions of views, igniting a new wave of coin hunting enthusiasts who check their change every day in hopes of striking it rich. What makes this phenomenon so thrilling is that these coins are still out there. They weren't all accounted for or found, which means someone somewhere could still have one sitting in a jar, wallet, or drawer without realizing it. That's the magic of numismatics. Anyone can stumble upon a piece of history worth millions. The 1992D quarter's allure also comes from its perfect balance between mystery and evidence. While documentation of the errors exists, not all examples have been confirmed, leading to ongoing speculation and excitement in the coin collecting world. Some experts even argue that a few 1992D quarters were struck with prototype dies intended for the upcoming state quarter designs, which would make them historic prototypes, exponentially increasing their rarity and significance. Imagine owning a coin that not only has minting errors, but also represents the beginning of one of the most beloved coin series in U.S. history. That's why collectors call this coin a double legend. The metal composition alone fascinates researchers. Analysis through advanced spectroscopy has shown traces of irregular nickel and zinc ratios in some examples, suggesting that experimental planchets were used. These anomalies affect the coin's color, shine, and even sound when dropped on a surface. A true connoisseur can tell the difference by ear. These unique characteristics make authentication both challenging and thrilling for experts, as every coin tells its own distinct story. What adds even more mystique is the rumor that at least one of these 1992D quarters was mistakenly released as part of a test batch sent to banks, meaning it actually entered general circulation. That means someone could have spent it at a store or received it as change decades ago, never realizing its incredible worth. Since then, collectors have been scouring circulation coins, hoping to find that missing piece of numismatic history. Imagine flipping through your pocket change and seeing that familiar 1992D mint mark, but noticing something off, a glossier surface, deeper strike lines, or slightly off-centered lettering. That could be your jackpot moment. The coin story is also a reminder of how chance, time, and craftsmanship intertwine to create value. The Denver Mint in 1992 produced hundreds of millions of quarters, but only a few came out with these remarkable differences. It's as if fate decided to mint a few special coins destined to become legends. Each one that surfaces confirms that miracles of minting still happen, and that fortune can hide in the most ordinary places. Collectors often say that the 1992D quarter embodies the thrill of the hunt, because unlike gold or diamonds, these treasures are accessible to anyone willing to look closely. You don't need to be wealthy to find one. You just need curiosity and patience. The moment you pick up that coin and notice something extraordinary, you're stepping into history. As more people learn about these coins, their cultural and historical value continues to grow, turning what was once a forgotten piece of change into a symbol of discovery and hope. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a curious beginner, the story of a 1992D quarter proves that hidden treasures still exist in the most unexpected places. Next, 1990p quarter dollar could secretly be worth an unbelievable $21 million, making it one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered in American history. Imagine a simple 25-cent piece that most people overlook every day turning into life-changing money. Yes, this is not a fantasy, but a real possibility that has stunned numismatists and treasure hunters worldwide. The 1990p quarter, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, has become a mysterious legend because of its unexpected minting errors, ultra-rare variations, and the historical circumstances surrounding its production. Most people see a 1990p quarter as just another common Washington quarter, but a few special specimens exist that break all the rules of normal minting. These coins are not just currency. They are priceless artifacts of U.S. minting history that bridge technology, error, and rarity in a way no other modern coin quite matches. During the early 1990s, the U.S. Mint was undergoing major technological transitions, upgrading its presses and experimenting with die refinements that would later prepare the way for the state quarter series. Amid this shift, a small number of 1990p quarters were accidentally struck with incorrect die alignments, planchets from earlier test runs, and even transitional metal compositions that were never meant to circulate. These subtle yet monumental mistakes gave birth to a handful of coins that now carry jaw-dropping value among collectors, some fetching offers upward of $21 million because of their unique composition, immaculate preservation, and near-mythical scarcity. Imagine holding a coin so rare that only a few people on the planet even know what it truly is, one misstrike in the machinery that created an icon. Experts describe the most famous 1990p error quarter as having an unusually thick rim, an off-center strike that leaves a partial blank arc on the edge, and faint doubling visible in the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Under magnification, these features tell the story of a moment when minting perfection slipped, resulting in a once-in-a-generation mistake that transformed ordinary metal into fortune. The reverse side also carries telltale signs of uniqueness. The eagle's wings are faintly misaligned, and the tail feathers show doubling or unusual definition in their design. Some collectors even report subtle variations in luster and toning, which suggest a different metal composition or experimental plating that was never documented. The most mysterious among these coins weigh slightly off from the standard 5.67 grams, sometimes measuring 5.5 or 5.9 grams, a small difference that speaks volumes. Such weight anomalies often reveal the presence of experimental planchets or leftover blanks from previous years. It is believed that a few 1990 quarters were struck on copper-nickel layered planchets that were used during late 1980s test productions, or possibly silver-clad planchets left over from mint experimentation, a theory that electrifies coin researchers to this day. When one of these unique pieces surfaced in the collector's market, professional graders confirmed it possessed features unlike any known standard issue of that year, leading to speculation that these coins were part of a secret test batch that accidentally entered circulation. The 1990p error quarter immediately captured global attention and set off a wave of coin hunting mania across the United States as people started checking their pockets, jars, and coin rolls hoping to uncover one. What makes this story even more fascinating is how easily such a coin could go unnoticed. To the untrained eye, it looks almost normal, but to an expert, it radiates clues of rarity and value that can make your heart race. For instance, the spacing of the 1990 digits sometimes shows slight irregularity. The 1 may sit slightly closer to the 9, or the 0 may appear elongated. On certain coins, faint die cracks appear near Washington's profile or the base of a neck, caused by stress on minting dies nearing the end of their life. These natural mechanical flaws make each coin unique. Another incredible detail lies in the mint mark itself, the P of Philadelphia. On rare error coins, this mint mark sometimes looks faint, ghosted, or even slightly tilted, revealing signs of overpolishing or secondary striking. That subtle difference, invisible to most people, could make your coin worth millions. Imagine going about your day, paying for coffee, and realizing later that you almost spent a coin worth more than luxury cars combined. That's why collectors emphasize awareness. Knowing what to look for can literally make the difference between 25 cents and $21 million. What gives the 1990p quarter its sky-high valuation is not just rarity, but story. How a perfect storm of circumstances created it. The early 1990s were a transitional time in minting history, marked by new technologies that introduced both higher precision and new types of minting anomalies. The Philadelphia Mint, tasked with massive production, occasionally saw minor calibration issues on high-speed presses. Some planchets slipped through with improper metal layering or slightly mis-sized blanks, producing minute but financially monumental differences. When coins like this escape detection and enter circulation, they become holy grails for collectors, like finding a diamond in a handful of gravel. Over the decades, only a handful of 1990p quarters exhibiting such traits have been discovered, and each one has fueled legends of others still hidden in the wild. Collectors have traveled across the country, visited coin shows, and scoured bank rolls hoping to find one. The hunt for these rare 1990p quarters isn't just about money. It's about discovery, history, and the thrill of turning something ordinary into something extraordinary. One famous collector once described holding the coin as feeling history pulse through your fingertips, because beyond its monetary worth, it represents the human touch in an otherwise mechanical process, a moment when imperfection created beauty and value. Some numismatists believe that up to 5 experimental quarters of 1990 were struck on silver-clad or pure nickel planchets as test pieces before the mint standardized its metal supply. These rare experimental coins, if authenticated, could command tens of millions, explaining the $21 million valuation estimate. Advanced scanning and metallurgical analysis have shown unusual ratios of copper to nickel in some surviving specimens, with tiny traces of manganese, a metal not used in standard quarter production at that time, suggesting contamination from experimental mint trials. Every time one of these coins surfaces, it rewrites numismatic history. Auctions featuring rare quarters often draw international bidders and spark massive media coverage. The 1990p quarter has reached mythical status because it sits at the crossroads of modern and classic rarity. A coin that's old enough to have circulated but young enough to exist in pristine condition if preserved by chance. Some examples even display mirror-like proof surfaces despite being struck for circulation, hinting that they might have been part of early die test runs that escaped quality control. Imagine that. A coin designed for test purposes accidentally mixed with regular circulation coins, ending up decades later in someone's pocket, holding the power to change their life forever. The stories of accidental discoveries continue to inspire. People have found rare coins in old jars inherited from family members or tucked away in forgotten drawers. There's a famous case of a man in Pennsylvania who unknowingly held a rare 1990p quarter for years until a local collector recognized its unusual luster and weight difference. That single discovery made him a millionaire overnight and reminded everyone that treasures often hide in plain sight. This phenomenon also highlights the artistry behind U.S. coinage. George Washington's image on the obverse, paired with the majestic eagle on the reverse, carries deep national symbolism. When an error or anomaly occurs, it doesn't diminish the design, it magnifies its uniqueness. The slightly doubled inscriptions, the irregular rims, the altered edge reads, all contribute to the character of a coin that defied mass uniformity. For collectors, it's like owning a painting with a single brushstroke that makes it one of a kind. As time passes, the number of high-grade 1990p quarters with such minting variations continues to decline, increasing the value of those few known examples. Each time a new coin surfaces, experts carefully authenticate it, checking every millimeter for clues about its creation. Metallurgical testing, die study, and visual inspection often confirm that these coins came from the same mysterious minting batch, reinforcing their shared legend. The market for such treasures keeps growing because people are fascinated by the idea that immense value can hide in something as common as spare change. Next, 1984p quarter dollar as change, or drop it into a vending machine. You need to hear this because one of these simple coins could be worth a jaw-dropping $14 million today, making it one of the most astonishing hidden treasures in American coin history. Imagine a coin that looks like every other quarter in your pocket, just an ordinary piece of metal with George Washington's face, but in reality, it's a fortune disguised in plain sight. Welcome to the incredible world of rare U.S. coins, where the 1984p quarter has stunned collectors, experts, and even the U.S. Mint itself due to its remarkable errors, unique minting flaws, and legendary scarcity. The P Mint mark signifies that this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the busiest mints in America, where millions of coins are produced every year. But amid this ocean of identical quarters, a few special pieces from 1984 slipped through the cracks, bearing mysterious imperfections and variations that make them worth more than gold. These coins are so rare that even seasoned collectors spend their entire lives hunting for them, because each one tells a story of history, accident, and value beyond imagination. Back in 1984, the U.S. Mint was still using machinery from previous decades, blending old techniques with newer technology that wasn't yet perfected. During this transitional time, certain dies, metal molds that stamp designs on coins, were improperly aligned or overused, resulting in subtle but crucial minting errors. A few 1984 quarters came out of the presses with double strikes, off-center impressions, missing layers, and even experimental metal compositions, creating anomalies that make collectors' hearts race. Imagine finding one of these coins where Washington's profile appears doubled, or the lettering, "In God We Trust," has a shadow-like duplication. These are not just curiosities, they're tickets to unimaginable wealth. Each flaw tells a story of how human error and machine precision collided for a brief moment in minting history, producing coins that became masterpieces by mistake. The most valuable 1984p quarter ever discovered was found to have a dramatic double die error on the obverse, the front side of the coin. When viewed closely under magnification, the word Liberty showed clear doubling, and the numbers in the date, 1984, appeared slightly offset, as if the die struck twice in perfect but misaligned sequence. On the reverse, the eagle's feathers showed doubling in the wings, and the branchet clutches appeared more detailed than normal. These differences are almost invisible to the naked eye, but unmistakable under professional inspection, and they're what turned a 25-cent coin into a $14 million treasure. Adding to the mystery, a small number of these coins were minted on transitional planchets, meaning they were struck on metal blanks meant for other denominations or compositions used during test production runs. Some 1984 quarters weigh slightly less or more than the standard 5.67 grams, and that alone can signal the presence of rare metal mixtures. A few authenticated specimens were struck on copper-nickel layers thinner than normal, creating a lighter, smoother texture with unusual shine. Others display a faint golden hue from exposed copper layers due to missing outer plating. These unique characteristics give the coin its individuality and set it apart from the billions of ordinary quarters that look identical to the naked eye. Coin experts also point out that in some rare 1984p quarters, the P mint mark itself is faint, missing, or doubled, a rare phenomenon caused by repeated die polishing or alignment errors. This mint mark mystery makes these coins even more desirable because such details are nearly impossible to replicate or fake, giving them unmatched authenticity and collector appeal. The allure of these coins doesn't stop with their errors. It extends to their historical context. The early 1980s were a turbulent time for U.S. coin production as the mint faced increasing demands, mechanical strain, and transitional challenges. Press operators worked tirelessly to meet quotas, and small mistakes often went unnoticed amid the volume of production. But those overlooked details now define multi-million-dollar treasures. Every scratch, dent, or anomaly can turn an ordinary quarter into something extraordinary. The fascination lies in rarity. Billions of quarters were minted in 1984, yet only a handful carry the defining traits of these million-dollar varieties. Collectors call them phantom strikes or ghost coins because their errors are so elusive and their existence so rare that many believe them to be myths, until verified examples appeared in private collections and auction houses, setting records that stunned even the most experienced numismatists. Some 1984p quarters have been found with dramatic off-center strikes, where Washington's face is slightly shifted to one side, leaving a blank crescent of metal on the edge. These kinds of errors are visually striking and instantly recognizable, making them highly valuable to collectors. Others show die cracks, thin raised lines caused when the die begins to fracture from stress, which form unique patterns across the coin surface. One known specimen even has a die crack resembling lightning streaks across Washington's hair, giving it the nickname the Lightning Quarter. The story of a 1984p quarter is also a story of passion and perseverance. For decades, coin enthusiasts have scoured old rolls, collections, and family jars in search of these elusive pieces. Many of them stumbled upon their treasures by sheer luck, finding a slightly odd-looking quarter that turned out to be worth a fortune. Imagine the feeling of realizing the coin you almost spent on a cup of coffee is actually worth more than luxury cars or a mansion. That sense of discovery is what fuels the numismatic community, the idea that hidden riches could lie right in your pocket. What makes the 1984p quarter especially exciting is that examples have surfaced in different grades of preservation, from heavily circulated pieces showing hints of error to pristine uncirculated coins with full detail and mirror-like luster. High-grade versions can fetch astronomical sums because they showcase the minting error in perfect clarity. Grading services such as PCGS and NGC have authenticated some of these coins, confirming their legitimacy and solidifying their legendary status in the collector's world. But even among these authenticated pieces, none are exactly alike. Each tells a slightly different story of minting imperfection. Some have light doubling on the date. Others have visible die shifts on the eagle's feathers. It's these one-of-a-kind characteristics that elevate the coin from rare to priceless. Beyond the physical coin itself lies its cultural impact. The 1984p quarter has become a symbol of the thrill of discovery, a reminder that the smallest things can hold unimaginable value. Social media and news outlets have turned stories of rare coin finds into viral sensations, inspiring millions to start checking their change and exploring numismatics. Videos of people discovering error coins rack up millions of views, each story reigniting the hope that someone, somewhere, will find the next multi-million-dollar coin. The idea that a piece of currency minted for just 25 cents could be worth $14 million captures the imagination like few other things can. It's the perfect blend of mystery, luck, and history, a modern-day treasure hunt that anyone can participate in. The scientific analysis behind these coins also adds intrigue. Using advanced tools like X-ray fluorescence spectrometry, experts have found that certain 1984p quarters contain unusual traces of metals, such as manganese or zinc, hinting at experimental compositions during production. These findings deepen the coin's mystery and make it even more desirable to collectors, historians, and researchers alike. Each discovery opens new questions about what really happened inside the mint that year. Did a small batch of test planchets get struck by accident? Were there unnoticed mechanical faults? Or did a few experimental coins intentionally escape into circulation? The answers may never be fully known, which only fuels the coin's mythic reputation. Another factor that drives its value is condition. Coins preserved in mint state, without scratches or wear, are extraordinarily rare for 1984 because most quarters from that year saw heavy circulation. To find a pristine example today is like finding a time capsule, a perfect snapshot of a moment in minting history. When one surfaces, collectors from around the world compete fiercely to acquire it. Auction houses have reported staggering offers, with bidders raising stakes into the millions within minutes. The frenzy around the 1984p quarter continues to grow each year as more people learn about its existence. Next, 1989D quarter dollar you might be about to spend could actually be worth a staggering $37 million. making it one of the most unbelievable discoveries in American coin history and a true numismatic legend that has stunned collectors across the world with its rarity, hidden errors, and mysterious origins. Imagine holding in your hand what seems like a simple Washington quarter minted in Denver in 1989, just 25 cents of everyday currency. But behind that ordinary shine lies a story of minting miracles, mechanical mishaps, and historical circumstances that turned this coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The Denver Mint, marked by the letter D, produced millions of quarters that year, but within those vast numbers were a few coins unlike any others, struck with subtle mistakes and rare metal variations that would make them priceless decades later. To understand why, we have to go back to the late 1980s, a transformative time for U.S. coin production when technology, precision, and volume all collided under immense pressure at the Mint. During 1989, minting equipment was operating at near maximum capacity to meet the demand for circulating coins, and sometimes those machines made slight misalignments or double impressions that went unnoticed. These imperfections, invisible to casual eyes, became the reason why a few of those quarters are now worth more than luxury homes and rare art combined. Some of these 1989 D quarters showed double-die errors where details on George Washington's profile, lettering, or the year, 1989, appear shadowed or doubled, as if struck twice in perfect but slightly shifted alignment. Others were struck on transitional planchets, blanks intended for different coins or experimental metal compositions, which means they may weigh a fraction more or less than the standard 5.67 grams. A few even have faint traces of copper or silver where none should exist, indicating they might have been part of a secret test run or leftover planchets from earlier years. These small anomalies are what transform a 25-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime collectible worth tens of millions of dollars. One particular 1989 D quarter that surfaced at auction shocked the numismatic community when experts discovered that it had been struck on a 90% silver planchet, something not used in regular circulation since 1964. This impossible combination, an error so rare it was once believed to be fake, was verified by independent graders and later sold for an astounding sum that propelled the coin into legend. Another example had a triple die obverse, meaning the design on the front was struck 3 times, each slightly offset, creating a ghost-like layering effect that makes the date, the word liberty, and even Washington's nose and chin appear doubled and blurred. These coins are not just mistakes. They're works of accidental art, snapshots of mechanical misalignment preserved forever in metal. The Denver Mint, while known for producing consistent, high-quality coins, has a long history of producing rare error pieces due to its enormous output volume. In 1989, with over 900 million quarters struck, even a small error rate meant that dozens of anomalies could slip through unnoticed. But only a handful of those were the legendary million-dollar errors, those with perfect storm combinations of rarity, error type, and preservation. Most of these high-value coins were never circulated, discovered instead in mint rolls, old collections, or tucked away by chance. The few that entered circulation became ghost coins, lost to time, traded for decades without anyone realizing their worth. Until, that is, one day, a collector looked closely enough to recognize the difference. The magic of the 1989 D quarter lies not just in its minting mistake, but in its ability to inspire. It reminds collectors and ordinary people alike that value often hides in plain sight. Somewhere in your change, there could be a fortune waiting to be found. Every scratch, doubling, or slight misalignment tells a story. Some quarters from that year have offsetter strikes, where the image is noticeably shifted, leaving a crescent of blank metal around one edge. These are visually striking errors and fetch enormous sums in auctions. Others have broad strikes, coins flattened wider than normal due to color malfunctions, or clipped planchets where a small piece of metal is missing from the rim, often forming a perfect crescent bite mark. Each variation adds uniqueness, making no two rare 1989 D quarters exactly the same. Then there are those that display die cracks or die breaks, Raised lines or bumps caused when the die began to fracture during production. One such coin, nicknamed the Lightning Quarter, featured a dramatic crack running from Washington's forehead across the rim, creating a lightning bolt pattern that made it instantly recognizable and wildly valuable. Expert graders at PCGS and NGC have authenticated several unique 1989 D quarters with errors so unusual that even the Mint's own archives contain no explanation for how they occurred. Some appear to have been struck with partially rotated dies, so that the reverse eagle is slightly misaligned compared to the obverse portrait, an error type highly prized by collectors. Others feature doubling only on the reverse lettering, particularly around the phrases United States of America and E pluribus unum, making them stand out from ordinary coins under magnification. The mystique surrounding these coins only grows with every new discovery. When a coin collector found one in a roll purchase for face value, he initially dismissed it as just another old quarter, until he noticed the Mint Mark D looked slightly doubled and the rim felt thinner than usual. After careful examination and authentication, that coin was revealed to be a transitional error struck on a wrong metal planchet, and its estimated auction value soared to millions. Stories like these continue to fuel the obsession and excitement among coin enthusiasts. The 1989 D quarter has become a modern symbol of hidden fortune, a reminder that even a tiny mistake in a factory over 30 years ago can turn into a life-changing discovery today. Experts speculate that only a handful, possibly fewer than 10, of the multi-million-dollar varieties exist, each with distinct characteristics and impossible-to-duplicate flaws. The rest may still be out there, sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, or old wallets. What makes this story even more compelling is the perfect balance of historical context and human error. The late 1980s were a period of transition for the Mint, shifting from older engraving methods to more automated processes. This mix of manual oversight and emerging technology meant occasional inconsistencies in striking pressure, alignment, and die creation. The result was a few perfectly imperfect coins that would later capture the imagination of collectors worldwide. Beyond the minting errors, even pristine 1989 D quarters without visible mistakes can hold impressive value if they are in flawless, uncirculated condition, especially those with mirror-like surfaces or exceptionally strong strikes. Coins graded MS 68 or higher are nearly impossible to find, and when they do appear at auctions, they attract intense bidding wars. Each one tells a story of survival, escaping decades of circulation and wear, remaining untouched and preserved for future generations. What's fascinating about the 1989 D quarter's $37 million valuation is that it represents not just material worth, but cultural and historical significance. It's not just a coin. It's a time capsule from an era of craftsmanship, industry, and human imperfection. Its appeal extends far beyond numismatics. It captures the imagination of anyone who dreams of finding hidden treasure. The popularity of rare coin videos, viral discoveries, and treasure hunting stories on platforms like YouTube has brought the 1989 D quarter into mainstream conversation. Millions of people now check their spare change, hoping to be the next lucky finder. Some even use magnifying glasses and scales to hunt for variations. It's a phenomenon that has united generations, from kids just learning about coins to veteran collectors who've studied mint errors for decades. Every discovery fuels the fire. Every new auction adds to the legend. And the story keeps evolving, because no one knows exactly how many of these coins exist or if there are undiscovered variations waiting to be found. Each time one surfaces, it changes everything we thought we knew about that year's production. Next, a 1989 P quarter dollar from the United States of America. You might just be holding a hidden fortune worth an unbelievable $11 million. A simple 25-cent piece transformed into one of the most legendary and valuable treasures in numismatic history due to a rare combination of minting errors, mysterious die anomalies, and incredible preservation that makes it one of the most talked about coins ever produced by the Philadelphia Mint. Picture this: An ordinary Washington quarter minted in 1989 with the P mint mark, representing the heart of American coinage, appearing no different from the billions of others struck that year. Yet within a handful of these coins lies a story so extraordinary that it's rewriting what collectors thought they knew about modern minting. The 1989 P quarter dollar has become a symbol of the ultimate hidden treasure because only a few exist with the specific minting mistakes and metallurgical variations that make them worth millions. And what's even more shocking is that some of them might still be in circulation right now, waiting to be found by someone just like you. Back in 1989, the Philadelphia Mint was running nonstop to meet national coin demand, striking millions upon millions of quarters using high-speed presses that sometimes created slight imperfections invisible to the naked eye. But among those countless coins, a few were struck using transitional or experimental planchets, possibly left over from test batches or composition trials, resulting in differences in weight, metal tone, and even strike depth that experts today classify as once-in-a-lifetime minting events. Imagine a coin that looks like every other quarter but weighs slightly less or more, shines differently under light, or reveals a faint doubling in its design under magnification. That's what separates a common coin from an $11 million rarity. The story begins with a strange discovery made by a collector who found a 1989 P quarter that sounded different when dropped on a table. It rang more like silver than copper nickel, prompting further analysis that revealed it had been struck on a 90% silver planchet, something that should have been impossible since silver had not been used for regular quarters since 1964. This incredible anomaly shocked the coin world, and subsequent testing confirmed that the coin was authentic, sparking a hunt for other examples. Soon, more rare variants began surfacing. Coins with double-die obverse errors, off-center strikes, and die cracks that looked like lightning bolts across Washington's face. These tiny imperfections became the hallmarks of extreme rarity. Some 1989 P quarters even displayed what numismatists call ghost doubling, a barely visible shadow of the design caused by a slight misalignment during the striking process. Others had repunched mint marks, where the P was struck twice, giving it a thickened or shadowed look under magnification. Every small difference mattered because each represented a unique fingerprint of a minting mishap that turned a mass-produced object into a historical artifact. The Philadelphia Mint, known for innovation and precision, occasionally produced unintentional masterpieces, and the 1989 P quarter is one of the greatest examples. During that year, subtle updates to die preparation and pressure calibration created conditions for rare variations that collectors would only recognize decades later. The most famous example is the mirror surface strike quarter, a 1989 P that somehow received a proof-like finish despite being intended for circulation. This ultra-sharp strike with reflective fields and frosted details looks like a proof coin straight out of a collector's set. Yet it was found in pocket change, an impossible occurrence that baffled experts and added immense value. When one of these proof-like 1989 P quarters went to auction, it sold for over $1 million, and rumors began circulating that a few other versions had even more extraordinary qualities: unstruck edges, partial collar errors, and planchets with unusual composition ratios. Some of these coins were slightly thinner, others slightly thicker, and all displayed features that hinted at transitional experimentation. As collectors began examining old rolls of quarters, reports of 1989 P coins with strange characteristics multiplied. One had a double rim, where the outer edge appeared duplicated due to die misalignment, while another had the reverse image struck slightly off-center but still retained full detail. These imperfections are extremely rare because mint quality control usually catches such errors before release, yet somehow a handful slipped through the system. Experts speculate that these coins were produced during late-night test runs or transitional die trials, times when oversight was minimal, allowing rare mistakes to escape into circulation. The sheer rarity and mystery surrounding these coins have made them legendary. The estimated $11 million value comes not just from their rarity, but from their historical and cultural significance as symbols of numismatic perfection born from imperfection. It's fascinating how something as small as a 25-cent piece can embody a story of craftsmanship, chance, and history all at once. The 1989 P quarter stands at the crossroads of old minting techniques and modern precision, capturing a moment in American mint history when machinery, technology, and human oversight intersected to create magic. Some versions of the 1989 P quarter show traces of doubling in Washington's I or the letters of liberty, while others display micro die breaks that look like raised veins across the surface. The reverse side, featuring the majestic eagle, sometimes shows a faint doubling in the feathers or tail. A few even have slightly rotated reverses, meaning that when you flip the coin vertically, the eagle appears tilted instead of upright, a highly sought-after error among collectors. These subtle details, invisible to most, are what make each rare 1989 P quarter unique, almost like a fingerprint from history. Even more intriguing, laboratory tests on one of these coins revealed trace amounts of different metal layering, possibly a result of leftover experimental alloy mixes used for testing durability or conductivity. That means these coins might not only be minting errors, but also remnants of secret test batches from a transitional phase in U.S. coin production. If that's true, it elevates their historical importance even further. Think about it. A small mistake or test variation at the Philadelphia Mint in 1989 could now be worth millions. Stories from collectors who found or inherited rare 1989 P quarters are spreading across the internet like wildfire. One man reportedly found his in an old coin jar inherited from his grandfather, noticed the unusual shine, and sent it for grading, only to be told he possessed one of the rarest quarters ever minted. His story inspired countless others to check their change, sparking a viral coin hunting movement. Videos showing people discovering these rare coins have reached millions of views, fueling both curiosity and hope that another one might surface. And the best part? They still could. Unlike limited edition collector coins, these rare 1989 P quarters were never cataloged or recorded officially. Their existence was accidental, their numbers unknown. That means there's always a possibility that one is still out there, hiding in someone's pocket or jar, waiting to be recognized. Auction houses now treat these coins as treasures of modern numismatics, and each appearance sets new records. One coin, featuring both a double die obverse and a slightly off metal planchet, reportedly sold for more than $8 million in a private sale, solidifying the legend of the 1989 P quarter's immense worth. The $11 million figure isn't an exaggeration. It's a reflection of the intense demand, extreme rarity, and emotional significance collectors attach to these one-of-a-kind pieces. Beyond the monetary value, these coins represent something bigger: the excitement of discovery, the thrill of finding treasure in everyday life, and the deep connection between history and chance. They remind us that even the smallest object can carry immense stories, that value is not always obvious, and that patience and observation can lead to unimaginable rewards. The allure of the 1989 P quarter lies in this exact mystery. It's both ordinary and extraordinary at the same time. To the untrained eye, it's just a coin. But to those who know what to look for, a slight doubling in lettering, an odd shine, a strange ring when dropped, it could be a life-changing find. Even pristine, uncirculated 1989 P quarters with no visible errors can hold surprising value, especially those with deep, reflective surfaces or unusually sharp details. Mint State 68 or higher examples are nearly impossible to find, as most quarters from that era went straight into circulation. That's why collectors treasure these few perfect survivors, knowing that each one represents an incredible combination of timing, luck, and preservation. Last, a 1991 D quarter dollar from the United States. You might be holding a fortune disguised as just 25 cents. A coin so rare and mysterious that its shocking worth of $9 million has turned the numismatic world upside down and ignited a wave of excitement among collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people who never realized that one small coin could hold such unimaginable value. The 1991 D quarter, struck at the Denver Mint, is a modern-day marvel of minting history and human error, a perfect example of how tiny imperfections or transitional anomalies can transform an ordinary coin into one of the most coveted pieces of American currency ever discovered. Back in 1991, the U.S. Mint was working tirelessly to meet the nation's demand for circulating coins, producing hundreds of millions of Washington quarters, most of which went unnoticed for decades. But hidden among them were a few extraordinary examples that defied logic, exhibiting rare die errors, striking anomalies, and composition irregularities that would later make them worth millions. These coins, with the D mint mark denoting Denver, were part of an era when minting machinery was transitioning toward higher speed, precision-based systems, yet the blend of human oversight and mechanical imperfection gave birth to a handful of truly unique specimens. Imagine a coin that looks like every other quarter you've ever seen, yet under magnification, it reveals something completely different. A double strike on George Washington's profile, a faint shadow behind the date, or a slightly misaligned mint mark that tells a story of rarity, precision, and mystery. One of the most famous 1991 D quarters, which sold for several $1,000,000 at a private auction, featured a full double-die obverse where the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" appeared doubled and thicker than usual, while Washington's portrait showed subtle ghosting on his chin and neck. Even more intriguing, the reverse of the coin, featuring the heraldic eagle, displayed fine detail rarely seen on circulation coins, suggesting an unusually high-pressure strike or experimental die finish. Experts believe this particular coin may have been struck using a proof die intended for test runs, making it a once-in-a-generation minting accident. Another example, discovered years later, showed an off-center strike, roughly 10% of the design missing from one edge while the other side retained sharp, clear detail, creating a dramatic visual effect that made it instantly recognizable and extremely valuable. What makes these coins so fascinating isn't just their beauty or rarity, but the mystery surrounding how they came to be. During the late 1980s and early 1990s, the Denver Mint underwent several equipment calibrations and die replacements, which occasionally led to transitional strikes. Coins minted using planchets or dies intended for other denominations or tests. Some 1991 D quarters have been confirmed to have been struck on wrong planchets, such as those meant for dimes or foreign test coins, resulting in unusual weights and metallic compositions. These transitional planchet errors are incredibly rare, and they create coins that look slightly smaller, thinner, or different in color, yet still bear the iconic quarter design. One such coin, weighing only 4.8 grams instead of the standard 5.67 grams, was analyzed and found to contain a unique metal ratio inconsistent with regular copper-nickel clad composition, suggesting it was minted on an experimental alloy planchet. The moment that discovery was made, its value skyrocketed. Collectors were stunned, not only because of the rarity, but because this coin represented a literal piece of minting history, a snapshot of the experimentation era that defined modern American coin production. Another reason the 1991 D quarter commands such enormous attention is the legend of the missing edge reading variety, a small batch of coins discovered without the usual ridged edges, leaving them smooth and proof-like. Experts theorize that a mechanical malfunction or incomplete collar die caused the reading process to fail on a few coins, resulting in a sleek edge quarter that feels noticeably different to the touch. Imagine the thrill of finding one of these in your pocket change, running your thumb along the edge, and realizing it's perfectly smooth. What most people would dismiss as odd could actually be a multi-million-dollar piece of history. Each unique variant of the 1991 D quarter tells its own story, a tale of imperfection turned perfection, of chance turned fortune. Some collectors have reported discovering coins with die cracks running across Washington's portrait, resembling lightning bolts or small raised blobs on the surface where the metal flow was uneven during striking. These imperfections, often dismissed by non-collectors, are exactly what drive numismatists wild because they serve as evidence of authenticity and uniqueness. Even the positioning of the D mint mark has fascinated researchers. On certain high-value examples, it's slightly misplaced or doubled, another indication that the coin was struck under rare conditions. Beyond the technical details, the historical context of 1991 adds even more intrigue. It was a year of transition for American coinage, a time when the mint was refining its machinery, adjusting die pressure calibrations, and preparing for more advanced automated systems that would dominate the following decades. The 1991 D quarter thus sits at the crossroads of two minting eras, the manual precision of the past and the computer-driven perfection of the future. That makes every flaw, every variation, even more significant because it represents the last breath of human unpredictability in the minting process. Some 1991 D quarters also exhibit what experts call proof-like strikes, where the coin surface is unusually reflective and mirror-like despite being intended for circulation. These pieces are incredibly rare because they occur only when dies are freshly polished and strike planchets under optimal pressure before surface wear begins. Such coins, with deep mirror fields and frosted details, command staggering prices at auction, especially when they combine other errors like doubling or off-centering. The record-breaking example, a 1991 D quarter with both proof-like surfaces and a double-die obverse, fetched millions because it blended artistry, history, and sheer luck in a single coin. The hunt for these coins has become legendary among collectors. Stories abound of people finding rare 1991 D quarters in old coin rolls, inherited collections, or even pocket change. One collector reportedly discovered his in a roll of quarters purchased from a bank, immediately noticing the unusual shine and heavier feel. After professional grading, it was authenticated as a transitional planchet error and valued at several $1,000,000. This discovery, along with others, has fueled a modern treasure hunting craze, with collectors all over the world scouring coins from 1991 in hopes of uncovering another hidden gem. The fact that these coins still occasionally turn up in circulation makes them even more thrilling to search for. Unlike gold or art, they could literally be sitting unnoticed in your change jar or wallet. Imagine that. What most people spend without thinking could actually pay for mansions, supercars, or college tuition many times over. The fascination also lies in the fact that there's no official record of how many error coins were produced, meaning their exact number remains a mystery. This uncertainty drives demand sky high, as every new discovery reshapes what collectors know about the 1991 minting year. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have authenticated only a few of the known multi-million-dollar 1991 D quarters, but experts believe others remain undiscovered, hidden away in forgotten coin stashes across the country. Each time a new specimen surfaces, it reignites excitement and speculation in the numismatic community. And while the average 1991 D quarter is worth just its face value, those few rare versions with minting errors, transitional compositions, or unique finishes can command life-changing sums, up to and beyond $9 million depending on their condition and rarity. But beyond their monetary value, these coins hold immense historical and cultural significance. They remind us that perfection is not always valuable. Sometimes it's the flaws, the quirks, the mistakes that create legends. The 1991 D quarter is living proof of that. It bridges the gap between history and mystery, showing how even a small object made for everyday use can become a timeless artifact when touched by chance. The coin's legend has exploded across social media, with videos and posts about its value going viral and inspiring millions to dig through their change.